Okay, what's happening, everyone? Hope you are all doing well. Welcome back to yet another client interview with myself, Noor. And today I'm joined by another pair of silent sharks who have joined our program. They've been with us for just over a year now. 2 days, actually, 2 days ago actually marks a year. Um, and they've absolutely crushed it in the program with a very, very unique niche, a niche that I myself had doubts and hesitations about, but they've turned to prove me wrong, very wrong. And I've had the pleasure of now interviewing them to find out a bit more about their story. So, Sophie, Dan, appreciate you both. Obviously, we know each other from being in the program and obviously catching up just before this. For the people watching this interview right now, why don't you introduce who you are, who you serve, and the transformation you deliver to your clients?
Awesome. Thank you for having us. We're excited to have this chat with you and share a bit of information. So I'm Sophie,
I'm Dan.
and we are co-founders of Resource Worldwide. We're also husband and wife, and can definitely testament that working as a husband and wife is literally for us the best thing ever, most of the time, as long as Dan me and realizes I'm always right. So our business is Resource Worldwide. We have been running for just over 4 years. I started it full time. Dan was doing some other things at the time, but he actually came into the business full time about 18 months ago, wasn't it? About 18 months ago. So we've also had a second child within that 4 years. So my point is we didn't really get super serious about the business until 2 years ago. Dan came in 18 months ago. 12 months ago, we joined the program. So what we do is we provide highly skilled, highly engaged remote professionals from the Philippines into marketing agencies, engineering companies, and across all industries, really. In the UK, in the States, we've got clients in Australia and in Europe for long-term career opportunities, which was one of the main problems in our business, was the fact that we were so broad and the fact that we could serve all clients. We're placing mechanical design engineers through to marketing execs, through to admin and operational support, through to architects. Literally, if a job could be done remotely, we could place a person from the Philippines. I don't know how much you know about working with guys from the Philippines, Nor, but super skilled, super work ethic,
100%.
really amazing attitude, amazing communication. So they just deliver fantastic and consistently fantastic results for our clients. But you try and market that, try and find a message in that, try and explain one client's pain point when you can serve all clients in all industries with the majority of staffing needs. It tripped us up time and time again. And we were very good at making placements, and we have a fantastic retention rate. So once our remote professionals go into our clients' businesses, they stay there forever. But we just couldn't get more clients by actively outreaching. We were only growing through referrals, through word of mouth, and we actually invested over 6 figures with other marketing agencies before we started working with EasyGrow to try and bring clients in for us. And they also couldn't work it out. So over 100 grand later, no leads. This time 12 months ago, business, a lifestyle business, really, turning over kind of 40 odd grand a month, some months 35, some months 45, but settling around the 40. And we were just really frustrated. We've got no predictable growth, but all of this ambition and this amazing service that literally changes guys in the Philippines' lives, gives them career opportunities they would never get, and also gives clients access to this amazing resource. And we just didn't know how to get it out to people.
Yeah. And with regards to some of the problems that you're facing, obviously you guys have been with us for 12 months. We can definitely get into those specific problems as well as the experience you had with the other agencies. Just to give people watching a bit of a pulse check from a revenue standpoint, Sophie, you already alluded like where you were at before joining the program and how it was more so a lifestyle orientated business. Fast forward to 12 months, what's the current monthly revenue floating at right now?
So as we talked about beforehand, there's a couple of caveats with this, but where we're at right now is at the end of this month, we'll be invoicing out just over £60,000. However, all of the sales we do in March will then also go into our April revenue. So from what we can see, we think our April revenue is going to land between 70 and 75 grand.
Amazing. And that's for people watching, that's in GBP, by the way. So I think that if all goes well, we should be around the 96K USD mark, which is absolutely fantastic. So I want to start from the ground up, especially with some of the issues that you guys were facing, where, essentially what drove you to join the program to begin with. From what you've just mentioned, Sophie, and obviously what we've just touched on before this with yourself and Dan, it was primarily the fact that, and I saw this myself and looking at your offer, you guys had a great service, but it's just you can fire it anywhere and anywhere. And that was the issue because anyone in any place could basically, take advantage of it. So
Yeah.
talk to me
That was
about,
some
sorry, Dan, go ahead. Oh, I think we just
feedback.
cut off for a sec. Yeah, you're back, Dan. Go ahead.
No, go on, you can finish. I
No,
don't
I
think
was
you
gonna
finished.
say, what was like the key driving factor in joining the program, especially after, you've gone through what you've gone through in terms of trying to find agencies to solve that problem of, helping you guys scale.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing was we felt we tried everything. I think that was the biggest frustration. We worked with multiple agencies that had multiple different offerings, promised the world, didn't deliver.
Yep.
Built so much knowledge up. Well, we thought we built up so much knowledge about lead generation through YouTube books, but we were still a bit lost, really, weren't we? In
Yeah.
terms of knowing. And then you got
But even our messaging. So like even the most basics of what we were, you've just said to us, explain what you do. If you'd have asked us 12 months ago, we'd have really stumbled over that.
Yep.
And obviously we've worked even directly with you, Nora, in we're talking last couple of days since we joined the mastermind, and you've reviewed our offer again. And obviously there's massive value in what we're now getting as far as that additional one-on-one as being with you. And even the way that you've now looked at our offer and we've reworked some of the messaging, we're now just super clear on what it is we actually do. Like we're clear on the service, but how to articulate that to other people, how to explain it to someone from like, Dan would have told you up until even recently, he was like, I'm pretty sure my mom still doesn't know what we do. Even explain it to our family, let alone
Yep.
your clients. Do you know what I mean? So getting the messaging was one of the biggest pain points. And when we first came into EasyGrow a year ago and we did that messaging, it's pages and pages and pages, isn't it? And
Yep.
actually
Yep.
industry we were targeting is not the industry we've landed on, so that's a whole nother topic. But we were targeting engineering companies. We decided that's who we're going to go down. When we work with EasyGrow, we're going to go down engineering companies as our niche. And we did all of this messaging. We were like, oh my gosh, now we're starting to be able to actually explain what we do. And that was a massive development for us.
Yeah. I think we were just back then we were potentially mixing up our service as well.
Mhm.
Because we serve, we were placing highly skilled, I don't know, process control engineers who work and configure, gas plants side of the world, and then also a virtual assistant, someone who just
Yep.
basically did emails for you. So we were sort of pitching ourselves in two different places, two different ways. So we were kind of lost. And I think a lot of the time we were getting pigeonholed into just another virtual assistant recruitment company that provide low cost,
Yep.
work essentially, which is not what we were. But I think because we were mixing up our messaging, and yes, we can do that if we want to, but we're actually specialists at bringing in these highly skilled people.
Well,
so I think that was.
And that's another thing now that we've been able to do. We've been able to start saying no to people. So, when we're actually doing those consultation calls, we're able to get a much higher level of client. So another benefit, if you were to look at our revenue, obviously we've just talked about as an increase, but if you were to look at spend per head, so spend per placement has gone up by about 45%. So when we started a year ago, the spend per placement was around £850, and now it's around £1,350. So that's been a huge one. And if you look at our average hours has gone up from 15 hours to 24 per
Wow.
placement. So we've moved all of these metrics up, not just the amount of clients that we're working with, because we've been able to start working with much better quality clients as well, which also, again, we deal with people both sides. Our highest value in our company is people first always, which gives much better opportunities to the remote professionals too.
Yeah. It's so funny because I'm sure you guys can attest to this because you're like one of the best examples. When people tend to join the program, and not just our program, but any program, they tend to think the one thing that's going to help them scale are the outreach systems, the email system, DM systems, and whatnot, which obviously is true. But actually, it's the work you do before that. So with you guys, I know firsthand how much effort you put in, and the work's not stopping because we're still revamping it now that you've joined the mastermind. But from you guys, yeah, the outreach systems helped, and we can get into that. But it sounds like the bulk of the results came from the foundational work we done in refining the messaging, offer, niche, and all these things.
100%. It's funny you should say that because when Sophie came to me with saying we've booked a call with this company called EasyGrow, this is what they do, trying to explain what's because Sophie got seen an ad, and immediately I was frustrated because I was like, there's no magical script that I haven't heard before. We've
Yeah.
we've worked with multiple agencies. I've read multiple books. I said, there's not a magical script out there, Sophie, that they're going to be able to provide us. So that was my first initial thing was going, there's no way that they've got this magical, fairy dust thing that I've never seen before. This doesn't exist. But then obviously when you delve in and it's literally yes, the systems are all great, but it's the philosophies. Charlie has
Yes.
a really good way of explaining and breaking down it sounds a bit woo, but like the philosophies of lead
Yep.
generation and that sort of thing. So
Yeah, but also to be fair to Dan, there was no magic dust anywhere. Dan's worked his arse off. Like this
Mhm.
isn't my area. Dan's the lead gen guy. I do more operations and delivery and sales. So Dan's the guy that's responsible for and has always been responsible for like the marketing and the lead gen. And he put all of his effort in. So he was like studying Alex Hormozy, Russell Brunson, all of these other guys reading their books, listening to podcasts, doing everything. And it's not like Charlie had this like magical different solution, but it's the way you're guided through it. It's the
Yep.
way it's structured. And then you put a massive amount of effort in. And I think it's really important to make that clear. It took the effort that you put in and also us to be constantly being prepared to change things. Like we have now changed our niche. So we changed our niche about 6 months in because we realized what we were doing. It was getting some results, but it wasn't getting us the results that we needed. So we were able to have that adaptability and flexibility.
Mhm.
It's not a magic solution, but it's a really well laid out program that if you follow and apply and show up, will without doubt get you where you want to be. But you
yeah.
have to put the
Yep.
work.
And I think that's
100%.
the thing as well is when we've worked with agencies before, or we've always come to like a dead end where you're like, what next kind of thing. But with the Easy Grow program, that doesn't exist because do you get what I mean? There's a fix for everything. There's an evolution to it all. So it's great to know that you're part of that really.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, we always thought we'd need to hire a marketing agency. So we were putting a budget of £15,000 a month towards working with a marketing agency. And what we've now come to realize is marketing agencies, they almost don't want to share what they're doing with you per se, obviously, because they don't want you to do it. EasyGrow is the opposite. You want us to do everything and you want us to do it well. So
Yep.
can't see why with Resource Worldwide, and our goal is to be a unicorn status company by 2035. So we've got really big ambitions. I can't see why we would ever need a marketing agency. We learn it, we apply it, we then share it with our staff. That's the other amazing thing about EasyGrow. Like our staff have access to this information and these resources. It's not just about us, it's about our team learning these principles and stuff as well. We can do it all in-house. So it's been a very different experience. It's like literally we're being taught how to do all of these things ourselves. And then if we don't know, there's that coaching is constantly there. Like you're very, very accessible.
Yeah. I love the point that you guys made, and it's the one that you brought up, Dan, where like as soon as Sophie booked the call, you said to Sophie, there's no magic script, there's no magic, words and whatnot, because we 100% attest to that and agree to that. And like I've done it in my support. I know Selway, who runs the outbound coaching calls, who obviously you guys are familiar with, he does it in his support where we get clients come to us to say, "No, what's the magic word I can put in my email?" Oh, Selway, what's the magic way to handle this objection? And there are no magic words because multiple scripts can work, but you need to understand the framework behind it and why, you're saying what you're saying. And I'm sure you guys have seen it from going through Acquisition Genesis, where that was the main purpose of the module, is to basically teach you guys how to think and tweak things in accordance to your circumstances. So I'm sure you both have seen it, where it's like you may have come across some of the templates that we have in the program, but you may have amended it to best suit your current situation. And then it comes back to what you just said at the start, Dan. There is, in fact, no magic script, no magic words, or wherever it is. It's about understanding the framework and amending it accordingly. And I'm sure you've done that with your business in terms of, the outreach and the systems when you were setting it up.
Yeah,
Even
absolutely.
even now, we're still doing it. We're still
Yeah.
tweaking it, and we'll continue to.
And we carried that on
Yep.
actually. We thought about when we watched that Acquisition Genesis was we literally could apply that not just to lead gen, but to our whole,
Exactly.
our delivery, everything.
Yeah,
Which is
exactly that.
Yeah, it's been a big thing where actually in the last year we've really worked on systemizing and simplifying the whole business for scale. So we've kind of got this attitude now, and this is come from working with you guys in those initial videos. So we have a 7-year-old, and we're like, if George can, that's our 7-year-old, if George could do this, then we've done it right. Like, and that's not to insult our staff that work for us, because they're amazing. But as business owners with such goals of scale, we don't want to be dependent on having like amazing people. We want to have amazing systems that good people can plug into.
Exactly.
We want to make sure that like all of our SOPs are really clear. Everything's like a production line. Everything's really simple. And a year ago, we didn't think like that. A year ago, we did feel like we had to get really skilled and talented recruiters in, and we had to get really skilled and talented salespeople in. EasyGrow has taught us actually we need to have really good systems, processes. And then you put good people in and you train them well, and you look after them and you treat them well, and you get them, make sure they're excited, they have opportunities. But it's all systems and process driven. And now with that knowledge, we're also able to give that to our clients and help put systems and processes in their businesses, but their remote professionals can then plug into. So it's been a lot more than teaching us a couple of lead gen techniques.
Yeah, that's it. A lot of people, because from the marketing standpoint, you know how it is, like we're scaling revenue, attracting clients. That's the sexy side of things, and that's what causes people to book a call. But then they're pleasantly surprised when you got lots of operations training, systems training, and all these great things. And Sophie, I love what you've said there, because it's kind of like there's someone called Ryan Dace, and he has this principle. He's involved in marketing and operations, and he has this principle where if your business is reliant on A players, you need to revisit it, because your business should not be dependent on. It's great to have A players, of course, and you should aim to have A players, but if the survival of your business is dependent on A players specifically, you need to revisit your systems, because your systems should be simple enough to the point where you can hire someone who's competent and grow them. But at the same time, they should have a basic level of competency where they may not be an A player yet, but they can still run the business on your behalf. And it should be that simple to the point where, like you said, Sophie, can a 7-year-old do this? Obviously, that you can argue, is that a bit extreme? But actually, it's a good thing to go off of, because it can get to the point where it's that simple, and it just makes running your business a lot easier.
And he's very smart.
Yeah, yeah.
Our 7-year-old we have.
There you go. That's it.
That's
a little heads up.
I think that's applicable right through to the top, right? Because the way that we always look at it is, or I've always thought, you build your business for scale or sale, or sometimes scale then sale, right? So like at some point, we're not going to be in the business anymore. So again, like even at our level is what we're doing with the business function without us. And I think that we're always wanting to work towards the answer to that being yes, which again comes down to systems.
Yeah, love it. Talk to me about let's just go back to day one in the program. Like, you've entered the program. Obviously, Dan, I know you had your doubts naturally, because obviously you went through the agencies and whatnot, and obviously the magic scripts that there's no magic in the scripts itself. How did you approach things from day one? You've got the agency, you want to scale it up. You've just come off the back of working with tons of agencies, nothing was working. There's obviously a lot of content to go through. Just give me a brief overview of how you guys approached the program to achieve the success that you've achieved in the past 12 months.
So, trying to cast my mind back to almost 12 months now, I think we both we both jumped into, obviously you start with acquisition genesis. So we started at the foundations level. I'm trying to remember. Can you remember?
I think one of the things we didn't try and do was rush it. I think we
Yeah.
didn't try and jump into
Yep.
outbound systems. We didn't try and I'd watched a case study from an Australian guy. I can't remember who he is. And he was like, I'm not one of these guys that's done really like he does like blue collar lead gen, I think. I can't remember.
Uncle Jimmy Mitchell, the local lead gen agency,
Yeah,
possibly. Yeah.
maybe. And he was like, I'm not one of these guys that came in and did the program fast, because I didn't. It took me like a year and a half to hit my first revenue goal. But what I did was I built up the foundation. So then after that, I hit the next one quickly. He explained it like that.
Mhm.
I think it's been really similar for us. We've just gone in and digested it and gone, we're going to do all of the bits as we're meant to. We're not going to jump around. We're going to follow the program. And you look at it, oh my God, it's a 3.5-hour video. Right. And
that was just one of them.
That was just one of them.
Just one of.
But our commitment was, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it properly, and we're not going to try and speed through the process. So that was the way we approached it.
I think as well, what we did is Sophie went through the program, and then she completed all the work, the work that needs to be done. And then I also did it as well separately. So we didn't sort of work together. Sophie went and I did mine, and then we put our notes sort of together, and then we discussed our notes together and obviously put them together basically. But yeah, it was that foundational work which was huge. And then
that was a big lever to pull on that made the changes for you. Yeah.
And I think not having really inflated expectations, because you then would have got, I mean, obviously we've been around for a while. So we've had all of these moments of high expectations of marketing agencies that were going to do this and that and then didn't deliver. So I think for this, our goal was just to create a lead gen system we could rely on ourselves, but not have like massive expectations that, oh, within 3 months we need to be doing X, Y, and Z, or it's going to have failed. Like, I think we just thought, we've tried a lot of things, nothing else has worked. So with this, we need to just keep on and be really adaptable and keep on working at it. We weren't a lead gen agency, we weren't a marketing agency, so we weren't your usual client per se, and we also knew that, so we were going to have to adapt the information to be relevant to us. But I think we also just took that approach for come hell or high water, we needed to make this work, didn't we?
Yeah. But I do remember prior to EasyGrow, we did do some email marketing. I did it myself.
Yeah.
Like it was a very spray and pray, like set up an email automation, throw in a load of bought data, come up with a quick script, snazzy, and then literally blasting out. I don't know how much I was blasting out. It was like thousands a day.
Yeah.
And I get like nothing, absolutely nothing back. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I remember doing all the foundational work and then setting up the Terminator Loom system, getting that set up and run it for the first week. And then that first call booked in. And I was like, I looked at Sophie, I'm like, we've done it. We've done it. We cracked it. I remember that.
Although it turns out we had not cracked it, because then we were getting calls book in with the engineering companies, and we were like, amazing, this is what we want. And then none of them were converting, were they? For various different reasons, but they just weren't converting. So 3 months later, after putting all of that groundwork into the engineering companies, we decided to change niche. And that's when we started to move into marketing agencies. And then we got really good results. And then we started working for those clients and got them really good results.
Amazing.
Professionals happy, clients happy. So we were like, okay, this is the industry. And then within 3 months, we burnt through all of the leads. And then we were back to, oh my God, we have a problem again now, which is why we then decided to go into the mastermind, which is where we are now. Because we were able to get some movement, but nowhere. We were hitting too many roadblocks, weren't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
With the program, guys, as you both are aware, there's a lot to go through, and that's just videos. But then outside of the videos, Sophie, you alluded to the fact that, you got daily coaching calls on different topics. You've also got group support, where if you wanted, obviously myself and the team's input, but obviously other clients' inputs as well, you can post a question at any time. Was there anything specific that you really loved about the program that really stood out to you?
Say that again, sorry.
What specifically stood out about the program? It was more you that was in the actual program.
Yeah, I think it's just being able to have that access to Will. He's been really in helping us sort of anytime that we bear in mind most of the questions that you need answers to, there's multiple SOPs and documents and everything within the course itself. But if you are really struggling, you can come to the coaching calls.
Yep.
To be honest with you, you know, there's not, considering how many people there actually are in the program, there's not actually a huge amount that actually on these calls.
So many calls.
Because there's so many regular calls. So you can pretty much get that one-to-one with Will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and then on that topic, obviously with most like courses, obviously the content alone is great where you have video and resources to go through, but how useful has it been just having a call that you can actively join to describe, your personal situation with your agency, the problems that are unique to you? How much more helpful has that been as opposed to just having video content alone?
Oh, it's huge. Obviously, with us, because we are a little bit, well, we're very different to the average person within the program. So having that sort of personalized, coaching essentially is coaching. But I think what's good is because it's Will all the time. Will does start. The more you speak to them, the more you join the calls, the more understands you and what your goals are, what your business is all about. So you can start to sort of really understand what you need. Or build that relationship and that rapport up. So when you do jump on the call, you don't have to start from fresh and explain everything about the business. He knows your background and everything about your business, so you can sort of jump straight in.
Yeah, and that's funny because even in the general Q&A I do with Will, which is on Wednesdays today actually, I spot people in advance because I've seen them for the past few weeks, and before they even put a question, it's like I know what you're gonna say. Like, and I tease some of the clients because it's like, listen, I know your problem. Don't ask it because you know what needs to be it needs to be done, and you just want us to give you a false sense of dopamine or whatever it may be with our answers. But no, that's big, Dan, and yeah, it's just great knowing that you guys have leveraged the support in addition to just the content alone as well, which is fantastic. The main appointment setting system that you guys have used is just Terminator Loom, right? Up until this point.
Yes.
Perfect. From going through the program, I'm assuming, Dan, you were the main one that set it up. How different was it to, the system that you you bootstrapped yourself, where it's like you buy thousands of contacts, copy and paste an email, and just blast out? Because a lot of people watching this interview right now, they'd probably do the exact same thing. They'd probably think, yep, I'll just get a ton of emails and just send it out and see what's what. You've seen how specific the Terminator Loom system is in terms of KPIs, data tracking, setup, and whatnot. Like, how big of a shift was it for you? Deliverability, all that good stuff.
That's exactly right. So when I was doing emails prior, just using the software and buying loads of data and just throwing it out there, not getting any results, and then being like clueless at the end and being like, well, I'm not getting results. Why? And just being puzzled. But with this Terminator Loom system, is structured in a way where you can see where the bottleneck is within the system. So you can literally break it down. If something's you're not getting results, the way that it's set the processability problem, they actually get in the emails or they're going into their junk folder. It's just lots of different touch points that you can identify pretty quickly within a day or two, and then you can make the adjustments and go again. And I think that's the biggest thing you found is you just identify, you make that tweak, and you go again. And if eventually within 2, 3, 4 tweaks, you will get the results that you need.
Yeah.
And then the feedback's amazing. So like people will get in touch with us and so we've heard from this type of service before, although they won't say that for new messaging, because they will have heard from this type of service before with the new messaging. But they would be like, oh, we've been approached by companies like this before, and the way you've approached us was so great. We just needed to speak to you, and we've closed those clients. So it's 100% because of the way that they received the email and the way it was all structured that they've
even had phone calls. I had a phone call this week, and he was just he said, you've really made the effort to personally reach me. Because we were reaching out to e-commerce, and it was a tailor. I think he was
Okay.
an older man at a tailor shop. And he called me and he was like, I just wanted to call you up. He said, it's not suitable for me. He said, but I can see that you've really put the effort in to
Wow.
show to me. So he said, I do that for my customers. I go back and beyond to send them out patches of, whatever he
He's
sends
trying
out
to
to
sell
them.
you a suit.
Send me a suit.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's adding you to his pipeline.
Yeah. And he said that I can really see that you've put the effort in you. So I just wanted to pick up the phone and say thank you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it has gone so far that I've had sales consultations booked in with me, and it became evident not that long into them that actually they were only contacting us to find out if we used an agency.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
And,
like,
and we've had people ask whether we can do that for them as well.
yeah,
Set it up.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's it. Yeah. No, that's good to know. That's super funny, but it goes a long way to show that personalized touch because everyone's doing the same thing, and it comes back to Dan with people that promote these magic scripts. They're probably everyone's using the same magic scripts, but they're missing, the core of what actually works, the messaging, the personalized touch. These are all components that go hand in hand, and it's really invaluable, especially the metric side of things, because Sophie, you even alluded to it at the start of our conversation, and it also before we started recording, from looking at your Terminator loop metrics, right? You now know where the core issues are, and now you can make a decision. Do I need to amend the actual email, the loom, or do I need to go one step further? Do I need to go back to my offer doc, restructure who I'm targeting, etc., etc.? So it just goes to show how specific you can get in terms of making the system work beyond, the the simple email copy that you use, because it's never really that simple.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think that's where we've got to now. Actually, if you think about it, we got to the point where we use that system to test and then iterate. What's the word? Iterate until we got to the results that we wanted to in terms of the appointment booking rates, so where we want to. And then we're at the point now where we realize that the system that we're using is we need to scale this system now. So now we're obviously tweaking our offer a little bit just to increase that appointment booking rate, but also scaling the numbers now. Now we've got a proven
and the really good thing about that is we now got messaging that we know works. So then when we go to DM, so we're hiring appointment setters next week, right? So we're doing TLS now. Then next week we're hiring the appointment setters. Then we'll go
Nice.
a couple of months into paid ads, whatever it might be, to really maximize this industry. And we've got the messaging though, now that we know what works. So yes, we've put a lot of work into this. It's been a lot of back and forth. But now if we've got that messaging that generates the rate of call bookings through Terminator Loom system, we now know that messaging appeals to our client.
We've identified the industry.
That's what I mean in the industry. We can use it across everything.
Yeah, amazing stuff. And it just shows that it's not like, even if you crack the code with email, it's not just, oh, this is email specific, but as you've just said there, Sophie, like this is the entire messaging, which can be adapted, whether it's on DMs, but even text. Like if you go into text, for example, it's like, how can we structure it on text? It's the same sort of style of messaging, but it just needs to be tweaked for the platform. So yeah, one thing I wanted to touch on, guys, you guys were obviously using agencies before us, and you were trying to get it done you were trying to get others to do it for you. And this is something that we typically encounter ourselves, where naturally businesses would argue, "Oh, I want someone to do it for you." From your guys' perspectives, as a pair of business owners who went from trying to get someone to do it to now doing it yourselves, what would you say to those business owners that are trying to pay someone to do it? Like, what's the advantage of just keeping it in-house, basically?
I think it depends where you're at. I mean, obviously, we
Mhm.
work with a lot of marketing agencies. We know they deliver amazing results for their clients. But I think that you need to already know what your messaging is, what your
Yep.
client, who your client is, niche down, don't be broad. Like this is the first thing you teach, right? Niche and then niche again, essentially. I think everyone teaches that. The advantage of doing it yourself means it becomes uncapped. So if you
Mhm.
can learn how to do it yourself, you're not capped by a budget. Obviously, there's an element of cost, but nowhere near what you would have from working with a marketing agency. And if you're
Yeah.
in, like for us, we've actually developed our service as a result of doing this. So part of our messaging is the fact that we help reduce operational and hiring costs. And we're talking about systems and processes, which we'd already talked about. So now part of our service is our account managers will go into our client's business and help develop systems and processes within their business, SOPs for their remote professionals to then follow. If we'd have had a marketing agency creating all of this on our behalf, we'd have never got to that point. I feel like we've had to really get to understand our clients and understand their requirements and understand the challenges in their business, but in a really, really intimate way to be able to speak to them and to be able to solve them. So it's just leveled, us doing it ourselves, it's just leveled everything up, not just the way we're outreaching, but the whole delivery of the service as well. There's obviously a place for marketing agencies with companies, but for us being able to do it ourselves ticks the boxes that we just said. And also it means that scale, which is so important to us, is in our control.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to touch on, guys, is the mindset side of things, specifically to do with limiting beliefs. I'm curious as to whether, to achieve the success that you guys have achieved, did you need to have any sort of identity shift in the past 12 months? Did you guys have any limiting beliefs that you needed to break prior to joining? Were there any doubts around, a way of doing things a certain way? It'd be great to hear both of your respective perspectives on that.
Yeah, massively. Dan was going to get a bar job.
Yeah. Wow.
No, I'm joking. Sort of joking. Yeah, because it's tough, right? Like running your business is tough and it really tests your character. But where I think it wasn't so much maybe it is a limiting belief, but for me, where there's been a real change was starting to being able to model the business on predictability. That gives you so much confidence. If you know, okay, well, if we do X, Y, Z, we get these results. If we do more of that, we get these results. That turns into this revenue, which turns into this profit, which we can spend growing the business this way. We can pay ourselves more. We can take more family holidays, whatever it might be. We can hire more people. Once you've got that predictability in your business of revenue consistently coming in and increasing, because if it's not increasing, it's decreasing. So it needs to be like, it won't stay still. Guarantee that. So either going up or it's going down. Once you've got that predictability, for us, the world's become our oyster. I actively say constantly, we're building a unicorn business. We will hit unicorn status by 2035, which is $1 billion valuation. I can only say that. I've always wanted it. I've seen the potential. I've had the vision for it. I had no idea how to execute it. Now we've created predictability in the business. We now know how we're going to achieve that. We've been able to model it. I can tell you exactly what those numbers look like. Obviously, we're working more closely with you guys now to make sure we hit those numbers, which is important because we did all that foundational work in the first year.
Yes.
But that's what this has given us or given me as far as mindset is concerned. The limiting belief that was there around the lack of predictability is now gone. And now it's massive, isn't it? Our ambition's always been big, but now we know how to achieve it. There's no limitations.
Yeah. And on that note, how does having that sense of predictability feel, especially coming off the back of, right, you've got a great business, you can fulfill, get great client results. There's just no clear path and direction to get to that, like you said, Sophie, that unicorn status. Like, how does it feel to be in a position where you're able to get clients, you're able to fulfill for them, but more importantly, that level of predictability there, it's just there. It gives you a sense of like a peace of mind, I guess.
When you go, you're on the roll.
Also, just as a note, we've got to pick Georgia from school.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, we'll wrap this up. Yeah.
I've got like 2 minutes, so I'll try not to take the whole 2 minutes in that question. How does it feel? You still have your ups and downs, obviously, because things still don't go your way every single day. But it's just exciting. I really feel like we're creating something. We're building something amazing. We're doing it in front of our kids. So we have 4 boys together. Dan has 2 older boys, and then together we have 2 boys. the oldest one is now doing like business for GCSE. Suddenly he's
Amazing.
sending us messages, isn't he? And asking questions about, he's had no interest in the business at all. And now he's suddenly having, but it's because we're excited about
Yeah.
it. So I think it's more like the energy that we're bringing in now that there was, you can talk about fear of failure, like failure isn't there. That fear isn't there now because the predictability is there. Like the fear of failure was never about our ability or our drive or our determination. We were always going to find a way to win. But now we've got a predictable way to win. It makes everything more exciting.
Yeah, amazing. I'm gonna wrap this up with just one last question. I won't go hold you guys. I won't hold you guys any longer because I don't want George waiting for you guys. What would you say to current students in the program that are, currently in the program and they're looking to succeed? What would the best piece of advice be? That's the first question. And then the second part of that first question, the other people that are watching this interview right now, it won't just consist of current clients. It would consist of people that have yet to join the program. So it's almost as if you're speaking to yourself. So we'll start with the first part. For current clients, what would your best piece of advice be in terms of succeeding after 12 months of being here?
I think don't be afraid to reset. I think that's a good one. I mean, you can go through obviously the foundational work, and then you can put a lot of work into your messaging and get everything set up. If something's not working, I think you can tend to think, oh, I don't want to go back to the beginning essentially, but it's not actually starting again. You've obviously learned a hell of a lot from doing the first version of it. So, but don't be afraid to go back and go, right, I'm going to start right back from the beginning, and that in terms of going through my avatar again. I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
I think as well for people in the program to be consistent on attending the calls. I think people probably don't realize the value in just being in that environment and being on the calls with you guys who obviously all massively successful in your own right, and just listening to the way that you talk, your mindset, solution, how you problem solve.
Yeah, and you do pick up, there's a lot of things that you pick up from other people's questions, that you may have, it might be something on your to-do list that you need to, that's at the back of your mind, but it gets answered on these calls. So it's definitely useful to listen to everything.
Yeah. 100%. And for people that have yet to join the program, guys, almost as if you're speaking to yourselves, maybe they've been burnt in the past by other programs, other solutions, and they're just on the fence basically. What would you say to those not non-clients that are yet to be a client from your experience working with us?
I would say if EasyGrow is like one option, what's the other option? That's where we were. We were like, the other option is we continue as we are. We've tried other things, they haven't worked. Our goal is still to build a massive company and have huge impact, etc. So we still need a way to get there. We've tried marketing agencies. We've kind of tried to do it ourselves. We've read lots of books. So we tried things. Nothing was working. We were getting really frustrated and disheartened. So for us, it was like, we have literally nothing to lose by going into EasyGrow. Like the guarantee aside, I mean, I just used that one to help close down. I was like, well, guarantee, we have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
But there's literally nothing to lose. Go in, watch the videos, join the coaching calls, work through the sheets properly. I can guarantee you will, even if you don't get the same results that we've got for whatever reason, I guarantee you will come out of it with significant more clarity around who you're serving, how you're serving them, how you reach out to them, learn new systems that you hadn't even dreamt of. Like there's nothing to lose from joining.
I was saying to Sophie in the kitchen, I think it was yesterday morning.
We're so domestic.
I was saying that I know for a fact now, based on our results, don't get me wrong, but we're obviously part of the other program now, and with the mastermind, that we will get the goals. We will achieve the goals that we are shooting for. And I know that. And I said that I couldn't have said that before working with these other agencies. I've never been in a position ever to go, we're going to hit our goals. And I can tell you now, Charlie and the team, they're the real deal. And they will get us to where we need to go.
Yeah. Amazing.
So.
Amazing. Well, for people watching this right now, I'm going to mark this as a part one. because these guys have just joined our mastermind. And Sophie, as we've spoken just before recording, and I think you mentioned it whilst recording, there will be a part two because I know these guys are going to scale to the moon. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Hopefully they'll have time for me in a couple of months' time. That's it. And yeah, for people watching, I'm going to do my famous outro now. For those of you that watch my interviews, you're probably logging off as we speak. But if you are interested in joining our program, feel free to book a call to find out more. If, however, you're entering with the expectation that this is a get rich quick scheme, or as Dan Dan mentioned in the past, this is a magic pill or magic script that you can take. I'm here to tell you this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is not a magic pill that you can take and all of a sudden you're rich overnight. I'm sorry to disappoint you. If you guys do end up finding that, please send that my way because I'll happily purchase it myself. If, however, you are someone that's willing to put in the necessary work, just like Sophie and Dan. I know you've been heavily into the program as well in setting things up. And you're willing to ask questions, join the coaching calls, and do what needs to be done for an extended period of time, then feel free to book a call with us and we can see if we can help. But again, if you are someone that wants overnight success and you've been sold a dream with these Instagram ads of kids with Ferraris and Rolexes and whatnot, that's not us. Okay. So yeah, hopefully you found this client interview valuable. If you need some further reassurance as to whether this is for you and a bit more about what we do, this is the 95th client interview to date. So check out the other 94 that we've done and you can get additional context. But yeah, hopefully you found this one valuable. As mentioned, this is part one. Keep an eye out for part two, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.